Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. Follow us on the YouTube, Reza Riffs 61. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Reza Riffs. Riffs is spelled Rifts. Um, a lot of people search for Riffs. It is Riffs. So it's actually the same word. Or maybe I'm saying it wrong the whole time. I don't know. But Rifts. And I called it Reza Riffs because it's a wordplay on riffs, right? Because of a river flow um, with my humor. I think I need to explain new rifters that, you know what I mean? But I got a couple emails saying I'm a moron, but I'm actually not a moron. I'm actually very smart. And I named it for a reason. So instead of responding to those emails personally, thought I'd put it in the open remarks. Anyways, KeithReza.com, all shows, dates, and old episodes of Reza Riffs and new episodes of Reza Riffs. And we got a great show today. You've seen her in Northern Exposure, which is a great TV show. Monkey Shines, which was like a really, really cool movie when I was growing up. It really freaked me out, pretty hoary. Um, it was like classic horror too. It was like psychological horror. Cliffhanger, with Sylvester Stallone. You know, that's like probably my favorite Sylvester Stallone movie. And of course, who can forget Leave It to Beaver, which is, in my opinion, one of the best kid movies out there. The great Janine Turner is going to be here via Zoom, and we're going to be talking. So, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and enjoy Reza Riffs with Janine Turner coming up.
From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Riffs with your host, Keith Reza.
Hi, Janine. Can you
We
hear me
did
now?
it. How
All
are you?
right, good.
Yes, yes.
How
Can you
are
hear
you?
me?
I can hear you fine.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. Good to be with you today.
Yeah, definitely. I thought like the Zoom was crashing on us. I was like, "Oh no."
You know, just started using this new microphone and it confuses me because it says join with computer audio and I'm like, "But wait, I don't want to use computer audio. I want to use my mic audio." But then again, the mic is hooked up, so thus it is the computer audio. Anyway, here we are.
Oh, well, thank you so much for
We
doing
did
this
it.
and taking time. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
of course, of course. We might go back and forth a little because like I have this thing where I just go through different subjects. It's like a puzzle. So forgive me on that. Like I don't have like a outline. I just go
That's
boom, boom, boom. But we should talk about
I
first.
love that, actually. I love stream of consciousness.
Oh, okay, cool. I wanted to talk to you first
Mhm.
to start about your love for the Constitution, which is the thing that you're kind of doing now with your podcast and all that stuff. So I think that's really cool. So like, what made you want to start talking about that and showing the people what it really means and stuff?
Well, I launched Constituting America. I founded it in 2010, and it was based off numerous things. I had a great educator in fifth grade, and we spent the entire year rehearsing the musical 1776. If you haven't seen it, run, don't walk to go see it. It's on Amazon and Netflix and all. And also, my dad was in the Air Force and was a West Point graduate and things of that nature. So back then it was Air Force Army. And, but I just have this innate love of country. And the wonderful thing about the Constitution is that it's nonpartisan. But the documents, the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution truly exemplify American, exceptionalism, really. Not that we're better, we're moral, better people or anything of that nature. It's just the documents are are what keep us from falling into tyranny.
Yeah.
And but since it's not we the government, it's we the people, I felt it was really important for students and adults to really understand. So I've given over 600 speeches at schools in our George Washington Speaking Initiative, which are free speeches
Oh my
that
God.
we provide with myself and other speakers. Yeah, so I go in and speak with the kids and we talk about how to write a petition and how to be a part of the government, because I feel a lot of times kids get a worksheet and it says this is what the House does, this is what the Senate does, but they leave out what they are supposed to do and how important they are and how they should feel empowered. And any bill is really that becomes a law is starts should start as an idea from you and or from me.
Yeah.
And so it's to really understand what the consent of the people means. And so we have many things at the foundation, but in regards to the speeches, that's one of our signature programs. Others are I'm the editor of the and do all the voiceover work for our academic scholastic study that we do yearly. History
Wow.
holds the key to the future. And this year it's on Alexis de Tocqueville's Democracy in America. So we have a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you mentioned that you give
Mm.
speeches, and you mentioned George Washington. Do you want to hear a cool George Washington fact that I know? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So they say that
Okay.
the average person lies once every 10 minutes, right? That's what they say. And you ever hear like George Washington cannot tell a lie or whatever? Well, his teeth were made out
Mhm.
of ivory, and ivory's very painful, especially back in those days. So he barely talked. He probably only talked 10 minutes a day, and that's why they say he could never tell a lie because he never really talked.
He wasn't tempted. Well, my father used to always say, if you keep your it's like if you keep your mouth shut, you don't get caught, kind of like a
Right.
fish. You know, you
Exactly.
open your mouth, you get caught.
That's a little George Washington
Oh.
fact because I have Asperger's. So like when I was growing up, I was fascinated with
Uh-huh.
the presidents growing up. I'm not really fascinated with them now, but
I
growing
love
up,
that.
I was like, holy Lord. Uh
Right. Well, they are fascinating, and they're humans, and they're fallible, and they make mistakes. But the great thing about the Constitution is it has these checks and balances because our founding fathers like James Madison and Alexander Hamilton and John Jay in the Federalist Papers, which is
yeah.
called the Federalist, they said that men are not angels, and so the whole basis of our Constitution is to keep in check that fact that men are not angels, that men they're fallible and they get tempted. And so it's these checks and balances in our rule book, which we all need to know since we are really running the government as the people. But it's that rule book that prevents tyranny from happening when presidents get out of line, or the legislative branch gets out of line, or the judicial branch gets out of line.
Yeah. I always figured like if I had a time machine, maybe I'd go back into those days just to see if I could get John
Yeah.
Hancock's autograph or something.
What where would you go back? Because I have two time periods. Like if you were to have a dinner, who would you invite today if you could bring anybody back from the past?
Oh, from the past? Oh man, that like if we're talking president era, I would probably do um Martin Van Buren because I thought he had a cool beard.
Or Andrew Jackson because of his hair?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, what about you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I John Adams, because he was the thorn in everybody's side that really wanted the Declaration of Independence. Definitively George Washington. If you want a little spice, you have to have Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
If you want a little of that sort of debonair, you have to have Thomas Jefferson. But I would throw in Plato,
Oh my god.
Montesquieu, Jesus, Paul.
Oh my gosh.
We'd have quite the dinner.
Oh yeah. Well, why would it have to be dinner? Why can't it just be lunch and dessert? You know what I mean? Be like, hey, this is a long, long dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wanted to jump
Do you know
around.
what? Do you know what I always think? You know what I always. Okay.
No, no, go ahead.
Well, in closing on this subject, one of the things I always think about is if I asked my dad this question when I was 8, and no, I don't know why, but I said, Dad, if our founding fathers were to come back today, what would they be most disappointed about? And the thing is, whether they're disappointed or they're in awe, can you imagine if they just sort of planted here in their 18th century garb, and
Yeah.
looked at airplanes and helicopters and cars and what we're doing right now, they would be, can you imagine? They would be
They,
so proud of America. They would see all of our faults, but they would also be in awe, I think.
yeah, I think they'd be very proud, but then they'd also be like, "Where the fuck's the horses?" Right?
Exactly. You want me to get in that medal? I'm like, I want my horse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Northern Exposure, like the audition process for that. Like, because you're an actress, when you're doing that show and it's like a big show. Like, did you have anxiety when you were auditioning for it and the script tones when they changed and stuff? Like, how did you handle that?
Oh, well, my story about booking Northern Exposure is quite the story, but a synopsized version is I had $8 left to my name
Yeah.
before I booked Northern Exposure. I had moved to New York City to model at 15 from Texas, and then I was in Hollywood at 17. And so I'd been in the business for years and years and years, but I left Hollywood to go to New York City because I wanted to be a serious actress. In the late 70s, early 80s, everything was the roles for women in television were just bikinis. You were either kidnapped, by and the A team had to rescue you, or Knight Rider had to rescue you.
Yeah.
Or those were really the only roles. But I thought I want to hold out for something better. And I moved to New York and found a method acting coach. But I had really relied on commercials, but by then I kind of was oversaturated in the market and I had $8 left. It's a long, long story, which includes Alec Baldwin, if you really want to hear it.
Oh
But,
yeah.
but when well, I'd been engaged to Alec, and actually the ring. This is his engagement ring right here. I had it in a drawer for like 30 years. And finally, my mom said, why don't you do something? So I designed this cross, and it has diamonds my dad gave my mom. And then that's Alex's engagement ring right there.
Oh my
But I was so
gosh.
desperate. I was going to go hawk his ring. I know. But I was so desperate, I was gonna hawk the ring, and I went to 42nd Street into the Diamond District, and then I didn't know who to trust or how much the ring really was worth, and then I got in my car, and I was just gonna leave New York and drive to Athens, Texas, where my father's from, I don't know why, and, become an actress and change my name and give up on everything, and, I was walking around the streets of New but I turned around. I went back to face my problems, and, and I actually talked with Alec, and but it was one of those things where God said to me, What you need to realize from this little dark era of your life is that the only one you really need to rely on is me, because
Right.
everybody let me down at that moment, including him. But we're still good friends. But I showed up for that audition for Northern Exposure, and I was so overwhelmed with woe that I didn't think I could show up. And lo and behold, it was one of the greatest characters. It was exactly what I'd been waiting for. A girl who wore a parka and killed her own deer and chopped her own wood, and this gutsy Alaskan girl. Well, she was really from Grosse Pointe, Michigan, but
Right.
this she was so self-efficient, and it was a real gift from God. It was a real gift from God. At the audition, when I walked into the audition at CBS, back then you have to have the oh, well, when I walked into the audition in New York City, the casting director assistant, it was not the casting director, but she looked at me and she said, I don't know what these producers are doing. We saw all of New York City's best talent last week.
What? They said
Yeah.
that to
Can
you?
you believe that?
Oh my god.
Yes. I was like, Oh, I'm so depressed. And I walked into this camera. I thought, I don't even think I can walk in, but I did. And then they call you back, and then they fly you out to Los Angeles, and you have to go sit like it's like a gladiator at the Coliseum in Rome. You know, there are all these people in these benches, and you're there having to do this audition. And I wore a skirt because I didn't think I looked thin enough in jeans. And the producer starts after my audition, runs out, he goes, he's waving the sides, the paper. And he goes, "Why did you wear a skirt? They think you're too pretty to be a pilot." And I thought, "Oh my God, I'm going to lose this role because I wore a skirt. Oh my God, what am I going to do?" So I walked back into the room. And mind you, I had $8 left in my name. I walked back into the room. I took the chair and I
Right.
turned the chair, and then I straddled the chair, skirt and all, though it was
Whoa.
a long skirt. It wasn't a Sharon Stone.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't a Sharon Stone from Basic Instinct,
Right.
but yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but I had a long skirt on, and I just straddled the chair and said, "Who this woman is who she is inside, and it's not about what she's wearing." And then I got the role. So, yeah, that's my
Wow.
synopsized version of the story.
That's such a great story. Congratulations. Man, so like
Oh, well, thank you. God was good.
yeah, yeah, God was great. So you mentioned Alec Baldwin. I have a very funny story that involves Alec Baldwin, but it doesn't involve Alec Baldwin. And I think it will make you laugh because I
Okay.
so
Okay.
I do stand-up comedy, like not to brag, but I'm really, really good. And I did a show
I
and
know.
so I did a show and this guy comes up to me and because I'm selling my t-shirts or whatever after a show, and he's like, "Hey, you're really funny." And I look at him and it looked exactly like Alec Baldwin, like word for word twin. I was like, "Holy Lord, you're Alec Baldwin." And he's like, "No, my name's Daniel." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "But my last name is Baldwin." And I was like, "What a coincidence." So like I was just like thought that was funny because I didn't know he had a brother named Daniel that looked.
Well, he has a brother named Daniel. Daniel.
It was Daniel Baldwin who I was talking to.
It was his brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. They do. They look so much alike.
Yeah, that's what,
So much.
and no one believes me on that. And I was like, "No, they look identical." Like I was like, "Ah,
Yeah, they do. They do.
uh-huh."
Daniel probably gets that all the time.
Yeah, I know. That's why I kind of felt embarrassed. I was like, "Ah, yeah."
Wasn't the
But
first time. It wasn't the first time.
yeah, but now that I know you, I could be like, "Did Janine do this to you too?" I don't know. But I want I wanted to jump to Monkey Shines because that movie, I think is like it. I think it's like a cult classic, and it was kind of like it's like a psychological horror kind of comedy thing that was like a style that I don't think was really popular back then. And I wanted to know like how was that experience like because like George A. Romano is like holy Lord, Dawn of the Dead guy, and he's directing you and stuff.
Yeah, he was quite famous in his genre at the time. And
Yeah,
I guess I was about 25. I was 25 years oldish, and these were my method acting days because
right.
when I moved to New York City from LA, I cut all my hair off, and no fingernail polish, no makeup, and rolled around on the floor, and learned all the actor studio technique. And I was really, it was a small role, you know, the life of an actor. It
Yeah.
was a small role, but I was really excited about it because I could bring all the I was when I was really experimenting with bringing this emotional level underneath the facade, that there are many, many levels going on. And so I liked that character. She kind of had some mystery and some depth. It was a very small role,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed working with George Romero. He was really terrific. And of course, you had Stanley Tucci in it,
Oh
and Jason
yeah.
Begay.
That's
They've gone on to have great careers as well. But I loved I think I was smoking a cigarette even. I don't know. I loved my sort of film noir performance.
I know. But like those style of films,
Yeah.
they're not really I mean, I haven't seen a good one like that made in a while, I feel like they kind of go for like, especially television shows, they kind of want them all to connect and not just to end, you know what I mean? Did I lose you?
Well,
Oh,
and that was Charlie Evans. You know, Charlie Evans did he produced it. I think he did. Oh gosh, the Jack Nicholson with Faye Dunaway, Chinatown. I think Charlie
yeah.
Evans produced Chinatown. Could be wrong, but he was a big producer. So you had a good group. Yeah, I mean, look, there's still a lot of great movies made today, so you can't really. But there's something about the movies that took their time. You know, if you go look at an 80s movie or a 90, the shots are a little longer. They stay on
Yeah.
people's faces a little longer. The film is so beautiful with the depth of layers in film as opposed to digital. And you know, you were able to linger a little bit on people's faces and actually see some acting, like in the Casablanca days on Ingrid Bergman's face. You know,
Oh, yeah.
and now everything's fast. I mean, at the end of Downton Abbey, even it's like the scenes were about maybe 30 seconds. I'm like, wow, we're on to another scene. So I love the old movies because
Yeah.
and I feel sorry for the actors. You know, the scenes became about 20 seconds, and you have to walk in and, you know, proclaim your mood in one line, and then you're out. So I miss the old film days. And you know, I'm such an old timer now. When I
Right.
get on a set, I'm like, let me tell you the way it was in the day. You know, back in the day. And I tell them to watch the American Film Institute's top 100 movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's something, by the way, that Alec and I were engaged. That's something Alec and I would do on the waterfront, and they all look kind of glaze over. Like,
Yeah.
well, why would I want to do that? And I'm like, because these are the great. This is the art form. This is when it all began. Go watch 100, the first 100, or AFI's best top 100 movies. You know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I also feel that people should watch the top 100 worst movies because I feel like then you could get like an appreciation of storytelling. You know what I mean?
True. I could say a comment about that right now, but I'm gonna refrain.
uh, I
I'm
I
gonna
ha-
refrain.
yeah, I'm sorry. Uh, so my one cliffhanger question for you is I wanted to ask you, did you do your own stunts, and if so, did you get hurt on any of them?
I did get hurt on that movie, and, I did a lot of my own stunts, but it was never enough, you
Yeah,
know, whatever I did, because there were only, like, 2 women in the cast, you know,
yeah,
and the rest all men, and they were either stuntmen or mountain climbers, you know, mountain climbers, and the mountain climbers are more sort of macho even than the stuntmen. And so, no matter how much I risked my life, I felt I never lived up to any of their expectations. But yeah, I mean, you know, running across that bridge that Sly and I do at the end, and he was in front of me, so he was okay. Well, we arrive, and there's this rickety bridge
right,
going, you know, from like mountain to mountain, and the fall is your death. I mean, I don't care how many feet it is. If you fell off, you're dead.
right,
And Rennie Harlan's there's like, mind, you know, they intimidate you, you know, you don't mind running across that bridge now, do you? And if you want me to run across it first, I'll be glad to do that.
right.
And so I'm like, yeah, sure. No, I don't mind running across that bridge. Sure. And so then you got Sylvester running in front of me. And so he is pounding on this thing. I can't believe I did it now. As a mother, I would never do it. Right.
Right,
And he's like running really hard. And, you know, like a wave. He's like giving me this wave. And so I'm now having to like run over this kind of wave that I'm in his wake, in other words. Oh my god, and then the cameraman was running backwards with a steady cam, and his leg slipped, and he almost fell off
oh
that
my
bridge.
god.
I mean, it was a very yeah, it was a very dangerous movie. I was up, we were up on the snow cliff, and, I took a step back, and I started to fall, and
Yeah,
I looked down, and this you know how the snow can be deceptive? We were on, like, top of a tree.
yeah,
Um, you know, I could have like so Sly caught me and brought me back. I guess you could say Sly saved my life. And then I called my mother because we were in Italy. And I called my mother. She goes, "Oh my gosh, tell them to take a broom out there and just like test the ground to make sure that the ground is safe." I said, "Sure, Mom. I'll make sure they do that." But we were running one time, and the special effects guy was up in the mountain,
right.
and we were running through the snow, and click. boom, boom, boom. He was remote controlling all these explosions, and 2 of them exploded right in my face.
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
God.
"Ow." Oh my God, that really hurt. And they're all like, yeah, okay, the take 2, let's keep moving, take 2. And so
Oh,
we go back, we line up again, and I'm like, okay." So and then we start running again. And then this time it explodes in Sylvester's face, right? And Sylvester goes, "Oh man, that hurt." And they're all like, "Rap," you know, "Shut down the set." Oh God. But if it
oh,
happened to me, it was like, "Oh, Janine," but if it happened to Sylvester, it was like, "Oh my God." But of course, he was the star. He's the man. He's the man.
well,
But I have so many cliffhanger stories.
yeah. I mean, I would agree
Yeah.
he was the star of it, but I would also argue that you were the star of it as well. You know what I mean? So like I feel
Oh,
that
thank
you had
you.
yeah. So like yeah, that's I'll leave it at that. And
Thank
then
you.
and then
Well, thank you.
yeah, yeah. And then I wanted to ask you about Leave It to Beaver because that was one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. And I wanted to ask you for a specific scene in the therapy scene where you, Christopher McDonald, and the children are talking to the child therapy, and then Christopher McDonald just goes
Uh-huh.
on he just goes on a rant. How hard was it not to laugh during this rant?
Oh, he's so funny. He's really funny. Yeah, the movie was it was a challenging movie to make. I'll never forget because you'd be at Universal Studios and the little cars would go by, that with the sightseers, and here they're filming Leave It to Beaver with Janine Turner and Christopher McDonald. Christopher's like, "Why aren't they saying my name first?"
Uh,
But like he was fun though. He gave me for a wrap gift. I was always drinking Coca-Cola, and so a wrap gift he gave me this kind of like frozen encased bottle of Coca-Cola. Um, but it was challenging because it was funny, but also it was a bit confusing because remember the Brady Bunch movie had been out,
right.
and that was a full blown spoof, but we sort of weren't a spoof.
Yeah.
And I think probably it would have been funnier if we had been a spoof. So it was kind of a little bit hard to play, figure out kind of what the tone is in it. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. But all the kids were obviously, they were under these SAG rules of they can only work so many hours and then they have to go take their break or take their nap or go eat or whatever, do their homework. So I spent a lot of time on that movie acting to the X.
Right.
They take tape and they put a little X for your eye line on the chair, and so the star wouldn't even be there, and I'm just acting to a wooden chair. That
Whoa.
was the challenging part.
Oh my gosh. That
Yeah,
wow, that's but
I
hey,
know.
that kind of like makes it kind of cool because then you're like, "Hey, I am a great actor. I could act without my co-actors."
There, you're right. I can act to a chair.
Exactly.
Bring in the method acting. Bring in that sensory work. Bring in that substitution actor that I had chosen for my choice.
Yeah. Um so I want to respect your time, but I have four more questions for you. Is it okay if
Oh, I'm good.
oh,
Go
okay.
for it.
I
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to
keep going. Keep
I
going. Keep
want
going.
I wanted to ask you about your books. Of all the books you've written, which one was the most difficult one to write, and like, how did you get escape that challenge? You know?
I love to write. I think writing is one of my favorite genres. I just love to write, and I've written recently a musical that I'm trying to
Oh,
get off the ground, and a play, and the book. Yeah, I know. Do you sing? You want to come
congratulations!
be in my musical?
I don't
Thank you.
sing, but
Well,
yeah.
I oh, come on.
I mean, I'll try it just for
Well, I
you,
don't
but
know.
I'm tone deaf.
Okay. I'm not really a singer either, but I sing. I sing well enough but since I'm an actress, I think that people will forgive me if I mean, Billy Crystal went out there and was nominated for a Tony, he can't sing really. I mean, he could carry a note, but So I think I always joke by the time I get it to Broadway, I'll be with a cane because it just
Oh,
takes
my,
forever to get something to Broadway, you know.
especially
But
musicals.
I
Yeah.
love, gosh, yeah, yeah, musicals. Oh my gosh, because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
There it's a lot of money. And starting all over, start trying to write a musical. I wrote the lyrics, I wrote the book. I have a fabulous composer and we've, worked together. She's brilliant with her music. And but when I was in New York City pitching it for 2 years, I did have two preliminary performances. But people look at you like, yeah, right, you've written a musical. Get in
Yeah.
line. So have like 300 other people. And you're like, no, but and they zone out. They like their eyes glaze over when you try to explain to them what it's about. And I've really realized the juncture where I'm now is you have to raise the money for it, but I just want to workshop it and workshop it and workshop it and step out of it and direct it actually and let people see my vision and then they'll understand because they've read a zillion scripts. They're like, sure, you have another musical.
Right.
It's like starting over in the business. Yeah, you want to be an actress. Okay, but they don't know who they're dealing with because I started modeling at 3. I was in New York at 15. I know how to hang in there to get something done. And if you tell me no, you're just going to make me more determined.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll
Definitely.
get there
Yeah.
one way or another.
I'm the
But
same way when people say
yeah.
that, like say no to me. I'm like, okay, how can I make this a yes? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like that's how I
Makes
like
you
that.
more determined. Doesn't it
Yeah,
make you more determined?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
It's like, oh, just wait. It's like My Fair Lady. My Fair Lady. Just you wait, Henry Higgins. Just you wait.
Uh,
I can break out the song to anything. And my mother is going to be 88 in May, and I moved her in with me, so she's living with me now. I'm taking care of my mom.
aw.
Uh, oh yes, but she breaks out into song all the time. If
Yeah.
if the sun is setting, what's that song? When the sky meets the horizon. I'm like, okay, mom, and she'll say, "Stop! What song is in your head right now? What song is in your head?" I'm like, okay. So
Oh my God. I notice whenever like because I still have my family, but whenever my family starts singing in song, it's usually the songs that I don't like and then it's stuck in my head the rest of the day. You know what I
right,
mean? So
right.
you're like
Oh, oh yeah. The one that always sticks in your head is what is it? Do 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 do
the
do 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 do.
lion sleeps
Lion sleeps
tonight.
tonight. And you're like, oh God, it's never gonna leave my head now.
And then you watch The Lion King and you're like, thank God that song wasn't in there. You know what I mean? And then but
Right.
it was something else, and you're like, ah, so
God. Speaking of that, that's what I want to have happen with my musical. And you asked me what kind of my books are the hardest. I don't know. I've written a lot of nonfiction, but I love poetry. Poetry is my thing, and
oh yeah.
I just love poetry. But anyway, the I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I want to write songs where people leave the theater, they remember them, right?
Yeah.
Like My Fair Lady or Sound of Music or the Oklahoma, just not 1776. That where you leave and you're just entertained. And so that's my goal. But then you have to be very careful how you pitch it. You say it's not an old genre, it's a classic
Yeah.
genre because
Oh my.
nobody wants old, right? They want new, new, new.
Yeah. I'm the
This
worst.
business we're in.
Oh yeah, because I write scripts and I'm the worst pitcher in the world. So
Uh-huh.
like whenever like my manager says, "Oh, you should pitch this to a producer guy," and I pitch it, they don't get it right, and I just say the Lego version, and then they think like because I don't know, I'm just so bad at it where it's like I'm more comfortable talking to the stars and not the people with the money. You know what I mean?
Right, I'm with you there. It's a whole nother ball game, it's a completely different ball game. The actors will get it. The
Yeah,
actors will be like,
exactly.
"Yeah,
Actors will get it.
yeah, yeah." Many people go, sure." That glazed look. I'm very familiar with the glazed look.
So I wanted to ask this question. These questions are more about you and not really about your career. But if you were in Ben and Jerry's ice cream flavor, what would you
Uh-huh.
call yourself and what would you be?
Popcorn.
Popcorn? All right.
I feel like I'm on password. I feel like I'm on password.
Oh, I'm
And the
sorry.
code word. And the code word. No, no, no. I'm being funny. The code word is popcorn. I mean, what is like popcorn ice cream? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I'll just there. If it had to represent me, I've come to the conclusion that's from 1776.
Right.
Talk about stream of consciousness. I've come to the conclusion that this Congress. Um, I've come to the conclusion that I am a challenger, right?
Yeah.
I'm a challenger. So my ice cream would have to have some pop and sizzle and
Oh,
a little challenge to the taste buds. So I guess I was thinking of the energy of popcorn. I don't know. I think a popcorn ice cream would be really horrible, however. But I don't think I'd
it
be
could
a
be
mellow
great though.
yellow.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not mellow yellow. I'm not mellow yellow.
Uh, I mean, you can't knock down popcorn ice cream until you try it. You never know.
I know. Hey, you could get like the salt version with the sweet
Exactly.
version.
Like a kettle
There you
corn
go.
ice cream, like like the
Oh yeah, with a
like
little
just
caramel.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, we got something good.
Uh, and you kind of already answered this earlier, but this is if you could go into a time machine and talk to a younger version of yourself, not like
Oh,
someone from the past, just a younger version of yourself, knowing everything you know now, what would you tell yourself?
like the substance.
Yeah, whatever you want. Yeah.
No, no, the movie, The Substance,
No,
where Demi Moore birthed a younger version of herself. Yeah,
I
I
saw
thought
it.
that
Yeah.
movie was actually. I thought it was pretty profound, actually. I thought Demi was excellent in it. She and I were sisters on General Hospital.
Oh
We
my
got our start
gosh.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would I tell myself? Well, now I'll get kind of deep on you.
All right.
Um, if I had to go back, um, to my childhood, I would tell my younger self that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. That's great. No, that's great
No, I
advice.
mean, there were a lot of situations where I didn't feel like it was gonna be okay,
Yeah.
and so I think that without saying too much, right? So I think that God is with you. It's like angels and God is with we are with you, and you're protected, and you're going to be okay. And I think that that's what I still to know that the three P's, because I have a God on the Go podcast, as well as an American exceptionalism podcast and whatnot, but which doesn't mean we're better than others. It just
Right.
means like what's cool about America. But my God on the Go podcast, and I was talking about the three P's the other night, that God protects, God gives us purpose, and God gives us the power. Um, and so I would go back and tell myself the three P's. You're protected, you have a purpose, and I will be your power. And I think that that's when times get dark or challenging, really really challenging, coping becomes a challenge. My dad used to say, when I call him when he was older, and I say, "Hey dad, how you doing today?" And he'd say, "I'm still here." you know
Yeah.
so I feel like if I'm still here, there's a purpose, and I like to keep that aligned with trying to look, I believe in eternity. I believe in God is with us here on this earth, and so I'm here to serve that purpose. I slip into my own sense of humanity every other moment and want to take
Right.
that back and want my way and to do my thing, and then I'm like, oh man, uh, I didn't live up to the expectations I put on myself, or that. But God is forgiving, and God doesn't care about our faults. He just wants us to get back up on that balance beam and keep walking with the purpose that He's put forth for us. So there you
Yeah.
go.
I
That's
think
how I
I think
am.
I think that's a great answer. I'm so glad you didn't say, "Hey, if Keith Reza asks you to do his podcast for 20 times, say no." I don't know. like,
No, I come on your podcast anytime. Now you have to come on mine.
oh, I would love
You,
to. I would love to.
there you go. There you go. You're a lot
Uh,
of fun. I haven't had this much fun in a very, very long time.
oh,
So
yeah.
this is exciting. I live on
Oh,
a ranch with my dog and my cat and my 88-year-old mom. So
yeah. I would love to. I mean, like I said, I really admire you, and like I because I get no a lot, and I've asked you before, but I knew in my heart you would have fun. So like I'm very like, I'm like, hey, let's just do this, trust me. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that
Yeah,
you did it. So it means a lot to me.
of course, of course.
And then
Perseverance. It's all about tenacity and perseverance in this business, but also in life.
oh, for sure. And I'm a big believer in that because I feel that that's how the world goes around, actually. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then
Absolutely.
my last question for you is, where can the folks at home follow and support you at? I know you have some podcasters, but like anything you want to plug, like how they could get in touch with you and stay up to date.
Yeah. Yeah, so many things. I mean, I would say my Instagram, Janine Turner. It doesn't have a little green check because that's not my legal last name. And so when they want to verify with your driver's license, they can't figure out whatever. It's about Janine Turner at Janine
Oh,
Turner at Instagram. Janine Turner, my website. I think that I have a God on the Go podcast that's just been picked up nationally.
oh my God!
There's a
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And so that's launching. I've been doing it for years, but now it's been sort of picked up. And there's another podcast coming that might have something to do with Northern Exposure.
Oh my
Um,
God.
but we're about a week shy of that promotion. So a lot of podcasts out there. American Exceptionalism. I'm really proud of these. They're sort of my Oprah Winfrey, Barbara Walters type, where we just it's just a fascinating discussion, whether it's about the Spartans or the Minoans or Alexander Hamilton or whatever it may be. It's kind of an in-depth discussion about America's journey. That's called American Exceptionalism. Not to be scared off that I'm saying we're better than anybody else, because that's what I'm trying to prove. It's just the aspects of us that. So anyway, I've got a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah. All
And
right.
Constituting America. Constituting America is my foundation. So if anyone would like for me or anyone else, we have other speakers to speak in their schools. We have a great academic study that I'm blogging and recording, editor about democracy in America right now. The book, great book by Alexis de Tocqueville. So we have a lot going on at constitutingamerica.org. We also have a podcast there, Constitutional Chats. Today we were talking about how a bill goes into the committee
Oh
and
my
what
God.
happens when the bill is in the committee. So that's that we've got a bevy of shows archived there too. So I kind of have a lot of stream of consciousness things going on myself, huh?
That's awesome. Congratulations and
Mm.
thank you so much. And it was an honor to meet you and actually talk with you. And I'm glad we're friends now. So thank you so much.
I am too. I'm glad we're friends now too. And now you can come on my shows. All right. Well, I'll call you about my
Anytime.
shows.
Yeah,
And I'd
definitely.
love to come back to your show anytime too, if I wasn't too
Anytime.
verbose.
You have an open invitation whenever you want. I love you. I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's do
Yay.
it. All right.
Yay. Well, you're awesome as well. And I would love to do it. It's a highlight. It was a real joy.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for the joy. For the joy. Thank you.
Well, anything to make you smile. So have a great day and we'll
You
we'll
too.
talk soon.
Okay. Talk soon.
All right. All
Bye.
right. That was the episode,
Okay.
guys. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Riffs.